Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. The Northerly Gaston, Diojo here, the one and only You Don't Know Me, But You Will. So, this is my first new video since January for YouTube because I did record a bunch of videos back in January, a whole bunch of motivational stuff of me walking around in the public and giving lots of motivational advice and whatever. I have yet to get to those videos because I just didn't have, the motivation and whatnot. But with this month being Mental Health Awareness Month, I wanted to go ahead and talk about this in this video. Then I'm going to talk about the real reason why I was MIA for 3 months and now make my comeback here in May. So, and then I may add in something else. But anyhow, here we go. So with this month being Mental Health Awareness Month, many people do not know this, but I have suffered from PTSD since childhood. And then battling a lot of depression since I was 18 years old. The way that my PTSD happened, being a victim of childhood bullying, especially when I was going to a summer camp called Grove Park Summer Camp back in 1990. I used to be bullied there a lot. I used to get beat up every single day. Not like, beat till I'm hurting like the whole day, but just like a pound like that and whatnot. And I wasn't even dizzy from what I remember. But I remember one of the most sickest moments that happened to me while I was there is, it was the final day of my time there at Grove Park. Two boys, they wrapped a jump rope around my neck and then they started to squeeze. And as they were squeezing, all of a sudden, the camp owners, the camp owners saw it, and here I am, crying hysterically. They called my mom. My mom picked me up, and she said that she'll never take me there ever again, because there was a lot of horrible moments that happened to me. I mean, especially being my first experience, dealing with childhood bullying, and it affected me since then. And even as a kid going to school, from elementary school to middle school and then high school, I was also a victim of childhood bullying, which also affected me to start getting into non-physical activities. And it led to my childhood obesity because I used to see food as my addiction for it. And I was also seeing like video games as my addiction to my stress disorder that I was suffering from. Because I used to be a very physical kid. I used to, run around a lot and whatnot. And then the more that it happened to me, the more that it started to increase me to have more of that PTSD. Another thing that gave me PTSD was a car crash from 1990 that almost took my life. It was my mom and I. It was actually my fault because I distracted my mom when she was trying to reverse from someone who was parked behind her. But instead, she put the acceleration to forward, and that was when she crashed. She crashed on the wall of a library, and then I almost died because I remember having teeth knocked out. I remember having some dislodged teeth, kind of like Mick Foley from the Hell in a Cell match they had with Undertaker back in 1998. And then also the lips from my mouth were removed too from that crash. And to this day, it was one of the reasons why I still have yet to even own a car, because every single time when I'm in a car, I think about that situation. As far as depression, I started suffering from it at 18 years old when I worked my very first job after I graduated from high school. I was working for Marriott, and I got the job through the Bridges Marriott Foundation, which they help kids from school to work. And ironically, of course, it is by Marriott. Around November of 2002 to about January 2003, that was when my depression started to really kick in. There were days that I would go to work, I would work for a few hours, and then I would just hop up and leave without even telling my manager or I would not show up on days that I had to go to work where I was scheduled. And it came to the point where they actually terminated me, even they were really serious about what was wrong with me and whatnot, but I couldn't tell them because I felt like it was so personal that I didn't want to expose it. And I can be a very private person, believe it or not. I can be a very private person, but those were some of the things that caused my, depression. And speaking of depression, there have been times that I felt suicidal because I felt like people were not loving me anymore, which is also one of the reasons why I was doing what I did in Marriott, due to all of the effects from the childhood bullying. And I felt like people didn't like me as a person, even though I'm always a good-hearted person. And that's what caused me to act the way I was. At the same time, if it wasn't for a good support system that I have, friends who I started to meet later on in life, especially my late best friend, Britton Daniel Cross Serrano, who passed away last year, all the hangouts I had with him, the friends that I got to meet through him, I would have never been able to be this communicative or be this happy joy like Ren and Stimpy today than who I was before. And I still go through the depression at times, but I don't want it to affect me all of the time, you know what I mean? And I don't want it to affect you all of the time, whoever's watching this, as long as the message is right to y'all, because mental health is a really messed up thing. Mental health can happen to any one of us. And I think it's also a part of mental health when you are the kind of person who talks to yourself all the time, because even since I was a child, I felt like I was my own best friend, or I felt like I had like imaginary friends around me, and I'll always be talking to myself. I still do to this very day. As a matter of fact, if you follow my new Instagram page, whenever you see Mila, when I'm giving my haikus and whatnot, Mila is a person who doesn't exist, but it's like an imaginary friend that I came up with from after a situation that happened to me on February 8th, which I'm about to talk about next. And Mila is actually a name that means protection, which is why I came up with that imaginary friend. Now that I talked about what happened to me in regards to mental health, now the next part I want to talk about is the situation that happened to me on February 8th, which caused my 3-month hiatus. Now, what I'm about to say, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be very triggering. If you are going to be triggered by this, because there is some things in regards of sexual situations, I do apologize in advance, and you don't have to watch this part at all. I'm going to leave that up to you, or you can stop this video, what I'm about to say, and 3, 2, 1, here we go. So, it happened within 3 days. On February 6th, I got a mysterious text from someone who pretended to be a model who I once worked with last year, and I had a really good close professional relationship with this particular model. I'm not going to say her nickname, although her nickname does start with a G. And when I got the text message, I assumed it was that person directly, because she was the only person who goes under that nickname that I knew. And whenever I text the real person, the real model, there was always signal issues on her end. So I assumed that maybe she had a new number and a new service. Despite it wasn't a Georgia area code, it was a New Jersey area code. And for those 3 days, this person, who I now consider to be the stalker of the model, since she told me that she has a stalker, this person not only manipulated me on my privacy, but I also fear to being blackmailed due to this person initiating the conversation, and they initiated a whole bunch of sexual related subjects, including one to talk about getting into pornography, and then eventually asking me for sexual favors. The real model herself is not like that. Even though the real model herself, is even though the real model herself, may pose in like very sex appealing content and whatnot, she herself does not get involved in, in any type of pornography and whatnot. And I respect that, because when it comes to my brand, even though it's 18 and up, I don't promote pornography. So when I was getting, all this conversations of who I assumed it was the real model, I was assuming that maybe she was making a career change or something of that nature. But by February 8th, even though it was too late for me to finally click in my head that this wasn't actually her, but it turned out that it was somebody else. But even if I eliminated communication with this so-called, person who was catfishing me, who pretended to be her, not only I felt that they were going to still expose the information, expose the chat log on somewhere. I don't know if it was on another social media platform or whatever, or expose it to the model herself directly somehow. So I feared that was going to happen. The way that the actual model found out, me and the model had a mutual friend. So the catfish asked for the number to the mutual friend. I text the number, and when I text the mutual friend, that was when I found out that it wasn't our actual friend, our actual model friend. So then the actual model confronted me on IG DM, and she was so angry and so pissed off at me. She demanded to see the screenshots of the entire chat log, which I sent it to her. And after that, she told me that she didn't want to work with me anymore. She didn't want to talk to me anymore. And they also forced me to delete their images from my social media, which I did. And they just cut ties with me. They blocked my page, and it left me in shambles. It left me so depressed and so defeated. And I also hours later, after that happened, I made a very subliminal post about the situation in explicit detail, because by this time I was so hurt. And while many people were on my side, another close model friend of mine who I used to promote a lot on my old page, and we did meet each other 3 times. We only had one sole photo shoot, and who I loved unconditionally, I used to talk to on a regular basis and whatnot. This person felt so uncomfortable and was very sensitive about the subject that she also decided to cut ties with me too. And it made me even sadder. Now I said to myself that I felt like I was targeted by this person who catfished me, pretended to be, the model, because I felt that they wanted to not only damage and ruin my relationships, but also try to damage my reputation. And it caused me to just not be active on anything for about 3 months and start a healing transformation and journey afterwards. And because the chat log did reveal some skeletons in the closet, especially like the very private fantasies I had about this particular model. Because every single one of us, we do have, our inner private, we do have our inner, fantasies about, certain people and whatnot. We keep that to ourselves directly. We never mention that to that person directly unless it was consensual. Sorry, I'm just putting this on so I can have some light. Unless it was, consensual. And otherwise, if it gets into the wrong hands, then you were completely screwed. And it got into the wrong hands. Now, just last month, I did send apology emails to the model who the catfish pretended to be, the mutual friend, and I also sent an email to the other model friend who cut ties with me, who saw the original post about the situation. Only the model who saw the original post was the only one who responded to me, and she just wished me nothing but the best. Now that model has not blocked me, but the other 2 did block me, so I can only email them. To this day, I still haven't gotten a response. But I said to myself, you know what? Even if they don't respond, that's fine, as long as they get the message. So that's what caused me to have this 3-month hiatus. And I still love all three of them unconditionally, but I also feel like they were completely misunderstood. And I say misunderstood out of respect because they have to fully hear my side of everything, fully hear, understand where I'm coming from. And also, as for the friend who was offended of the post, I can respect her opinion. I'm neutral about her opinion, but I also have to challenge her opinion because I'm not the kind of because when I made that post, it wasn't made in a way to witch hunt that model. But at the same time, if I was someone who was habitually posting drama and whatnot, then you have the right to cut ties with me. But because that was just a one post, and I did mention about changes that I'm making to myself, but you still cut ties with me, like, I just don't get it. But then again, everybody has their own personal feelings and whatnot. And at the same time, I want to show that what I did in my 3-month journey has transformed me into the better person who I am now. There's also some huge lessons I had to learn too. Like, one of the biggest lessons I had to learn was to start showing more respect to women in this business, especially models. Because I used to blur the lines between professionalism and perversion. Like, for example, if I saw a very sex appealing photo of a model, like showing her butt or whatever, I would post a comment like "bootyful." And I remember when one fellow photographer who used to be a client of mine for graphic design work, he used to confront me and tell me, "Hey, listen, if I was you, you should not post that comment at all, or stop posting comments like that, because you're supposed to be a professional. People are watching you, and when people see those comments from you, they will have change of views about you." So now I take that into consideration. And also, another thing I had to do was to stop being too close with models, which is one of the reasons why I am the person who I am now, and one of the reasons why I now left my old page into my new page, the original Digital. So the old page of Digital will always be up, but I left all of those models behind, and the new page of Digital will represent a new me. Few of those models have made a comeback to that page, but they're the ones who have the most loyalty with me, and who I have the better relationships with. Even if some of them I only worked with one time. But at the end of the day, it's all lessons that I had to learn. At the same time, it's also a fact that I feel like for us as photographers, especially us male photographers, we have to start showing more respect to women in this business. Because yes, women may be the biggest form of art when it comes to our work, but at the same time, keep in mind that this is the same sex that gave birth to us, that fed us, that raised us. And for someone like me who was raised by a single mother throughout my life, been raised by mostly women throughout, and always had more female friends than male friends, I should know better. And I'm taking that with full consideration. So I do apologize again to those three. And I did end up losing another friend this week from talking about the situation to them, because they asked me about it, and I asked them, "Do you want to hear it in short version or or the long version in explicit detail?" So I gave the one in long explicit detail. The conversation was going pretty good, and they didn't show signs of being triggered or whatnot. Because I asked them that, because I did tell them a trigger warning, but then, as I was about to end the conversation by saying thank you for listening to me and giving your own tips and whatever, that person is blocking me. So now I said to myself, you know what? After I make this YouTube video, this will be the final time I ever talk about this situation, because it's now become a curse, and I don't want to trigger any more people. And it has also gave me PTSD as a result. So while I was MIA, I did get back. I did get into painting. I also got into reading. I don't know if I can find the book here. One of my friends, who is also a future client of mine, gave me this book, Inward by Young Pueblo. It's really helped me a lot. So I highly recommend this book. Of short poems. And now my new page, whenever you see the haikus, it's just you know, a sample of me giving myself peace and giving you guys peace. But other than that, I'm going to pretty much end this video. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. And please follow my new page, the Original Digital on YouTube. I mean, I'm sorry. Well, you can please subscribe to this page. Hit the bell for notifications because I'm about to be active on this again. Please follow my Instagram page, the Original Digital. The link will be down below. And my website is coming soon as well. Oh, and one more thing I want to mention. Even though the models told me that they forced me to delete their images, when I go on their pages now, since I made my new page, my images are still up there. Even one of them still has my image as their profile image because I could tell that they loved my work a lot. And it meant, you know, so much as a part of their portfolio. So I will repost those images again, but I will keep them anonymous. And I just want to say that this journey has become depressing, but it's also become healing. And I always have the biggest heart. I may not be a fast-paced person. I may be sometimes slow, but I have the biggest heart. Other than that, one love to everybody. Peace. PMA, positive mental attitude. Okay?